They said Texas was locked down, deep red and untouchable. But what just went down inside the Texas legislature has sent shockwaves far beyond state borders. At the center of it all, Texas lawmakers Governor Greg Abbott and Representative Jasmine Crockett are clashing over one of the most shocking political fights in recent memory: redistricting and the raw battle for control of the U.S. House. What's unfolding here is not just a Texas story, it's a breaking, game-changing test run for how Republicans plan to rig the map nationwide before the 2026 midterm elections. Jasmine Crockett didn't hold back. Her testimony in Austin came with fire, urgency, and a reminder of just how much is at stake. She laid out a history that most Americans have never heard, one where lawmakers repeatedly ignored minority voices, violated the Voting Rights Act, and redrew maps to guarantee one-party power. She reminded everyone that while 95% of Texas's explosive population growth came from communities of color, the state still carved out 2 new majority-white districts and even tried to merge black-majority districts. Her warning was simple. This legislature has been found guilty of intentional racial discrimination in redistricting over and over again. And yet, here we are again. But this isn't just history, it's happening right now. Donald Trump, watching his grip on the national map weaken, called Greg Abbott with a plan: lock down 5 new Republican seats to guarantee control of Congress. That's not speculation, that's the playbook. And Abbott moved quickly, calling a special session to ram through new maps. Maps designed not by voters, but for politicians to choose their voters. And they weren't subtle. These maps were engineered to flip Texas districts red, silencing Latino, Black, and young voters who are reshaping the state's political future. The numbers don't lie. To comply with the Voting Rights Act, Texas should have about 24 seats where communities of color can elect their representatives. Instead, they only have 14. That gap is not an accident. It's a deliberate design. And it's why Texas Democrats knew they had one card left to play. That card was quorum. In the Texas House, you need 100 lawmakers present to even hold a vote. Republicans had 88. They needed 12 Democrats to show up. But instead of playing along, House Democrats pulled off one of the boldest moves in modern politics. They packed their bags, boarded planes, and left the state entirely. Destination? Chicago. By fleeing Texas, they broke quorum and froze Abbott's plan in its tracks. No quorum, no vote. This wasn't just a stunt. It was strategy. And it worked, at least for now. Republicans were left stranded, unable to pass their maps, while Democrats turned the national spotlight onto the issue of gerrymandering and voter suppression. Front and center in that fight was Jasmine Crockett. She didn't just testify in Austin. She became the face of resistance, calling out Abbott's plan for what it is: an attempt to rig elections in advance. She warned that if politicians choose their voters, instead of voters choosing their politicians, democracy itself is already gone. That message resonated far beyond Texas. It landed in Washington, where lawmakers and governors from Illinois, California, and New York signaled support. And it sparked conversations nationwide about what's at risk in the next midterms. Make no mistake, this battle in Texas is a national story. If Abbott succeeds, it will set the precedent for Republicans in Georgia, Florida, and beyond. Redistricting fights may sound technical, but they decide who controls Congress for the next decade. The stakes could not be higher. Critics say Democrats abandoned their jobs by fleeing. Supporters say they're protecting democracy itself. The truth is, both parties know exactly what's at stake. Republicans want to guarantee victories before voters even cast ballots. Democrats want to stall until courts or Congress intervene. And in the meantime, everyday Texans, especially communities of color, are stuck watching their representation be carved up like a chessboard. The consequences reach beyond state borders. International observers already raise alarms when America weakens its democratic institutions. Gerrymandering at this scale not only distorts representation, it undermines the credibility of U.S. elections worldwide. Allies see it, rivals see it, and for a country that claims to export democracy abroad, the optics could not be worse. All eyes are now on the next 48 hours in Austin. Will Republicans force arrests of absent Democrats to drag them back to the chamber? Will Democrats hold out long enough for federal courts to step in? Will the Department of Justice intervene? Each option carries risks, and the clock is ticking. Here's the larger danger. If voters tune out, if the public ignores redistricting, then maps like these will quietly lock in power for a decade. By the time midterm elections roll around in 2026, the outcome will already be decided before the first ballot is even printed. That's the game-changing reality Jasmine Crockett was warning about. So what happens next? If Democrats hold their line, Abbott may call law enforcement to track them down. If they crack, Republicans get their vote and 5 new red seats. If courts intervene, we could see legal challenges drag on for years, delaying certainty and creating chaos before national elections. This is why Democrats are urging Americans to support them. They left families behind, risked arrest, and stepped out on a limb. But they're betting that Americans will stand with them. If they're left isolated, the strategy collapses. If they get national support, it could inspire Democrats in other states to do the same. And that's why this story is more than Texas. It's about the future of American democracy. It's about whether voters get to choose leaders or leaders get to choose voters. It's about whether one party can hardwire itself into power, regardless of what the people want. That's why Jasmine Crockett's fire is spreading, and that's why you need to pay attention now, before it's too late. So here's the bottom line. The fight over Texas redistricting is a breaking, unprecedented battle that could reshape the U.S. House for a generation. The next steps will decide whether this was a dramatic stunt or a turning point in the war for democracy. Stay loud, stay engaged, and don't let them redraw you out of your own democracy. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure to hit like, drop a comment on where you stand, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Because this story is just getting started, and the next chapter could change everything.